We've spent so much of this morning talking about Aaron Rodgers, the Green Bay Packers, the future of Mike McCarthy. Let's start with something you tweeted last night. You said last night perfectly encapsulated Rodgers' career, making the spectacular look routine, but too often not making the routine play. How many times did you see that happen with Rodgers last night?
Well, at least 5 or 6, right? And it's a major problem. I mean, he took some sacks that he absolutely should not take. If you look historically at what happens to drives where you get sacked, your chance of scoring points on that drive and even converting that next first down drop precipitously. You just can't take sacks like that. And even some of them, DA, he could have just thrown the ball away. Others, though, he had wide open Aaron Jones on the check down, and he wouldn't throw him the check down. I think sometimes maybe his physical ability is like his gift and his curse, if that makes sense. His physical ability is why he made 2 absolutely ridiculous throws last night. I mean, the one to Tanyan, whoever that dude is, for the touchdown. The other one dropped in the bucket, kind of off his back foot to Adams, was just amazing. And I think that is why, DA, so many people are such big Aaron Rodgers fans, and so many people believe that he's the best quarterback, because he's certainly the most spectacular and the most entertaining quarterback. But a lot of times what wins games is making the routine play. And I tweeted, you can't take sacks, you can't not throw the ball at the check down. That really hurts your team. And I think that's why Brady is better. That's why Brady has won more. Brady's never going to have the spectacular that Rodgers has. But I think if you're describing Brady, the best way I would describe him, DA, is he's the best we've ever seen at making the routine play consistently. So whether it's not taking the sack, throwing to the right guy, throwing the ball away, throwing to the check down, it's boring. It's not on the highlights, but it's the difference a lot of times between winning and losing, and Brady is the best at the routine we've ever seen.
I think it's a great way to put it. I think about a great home run hitter that makes mashes and home runs make them look easy, but when you're down a run in the 9th inning, the bases are loaded with 2 outs, all you need is a seeing eye single, and the guy's swinging for the fences and strikes out. It feels like that because Rodgers, as you said, that play to Robert Tonyan was ridiculous. Nobody in the NFL makes that play usually as a quarterback, but he can. And so maybe he's always looking for that. Do you think it has to do with impatience? Because making the routine play, he's not patient enough like Brady to just take that.
That's definitely part of it. I mean, you'd have to ask him. I don't get it. Sometimes I wonder, I've heard that he really cares a lot about his quarterback rating. He's got the best quarterback rating of all time, so maybe he doesn't want to throw the ball away, because I've seen him in recent years do a better job throwing the ball away, so I don't really think it's that. I guess I don't know if he doesn't see it, doesn't trust it. I liken it to, I don't think it's a patience thing as much as a confidence thing. I think he has that much confidence in his ability to be able to make the big throw down the field for a big gain, big play, that he doesn't want to just take the underneath stuff, because he's confident that he's talented enough and good enough to do more.
Ross Tucker joins us this morning on the show. Did you agree or disagree with Mike McCarthy punting from his own 33 late?
So I'm kind of caught in between the old school thinking and the new school analytics. And I didn't think it was an egregious error by him. What kind of put me over the top there is they hadn't stopped Seattle in the fourth quarter, and more importantly, his 2 best run defenders, Kenny Clark and Mike Daniels, were both out. So I think if everybody's healthy, you have a timeout, you have 2-minute warning, all right, I can see putting it away there. You're at your own 30 or whatever he was at. But that's when, in my mind, somebody has to say, hey, Mike, we don't have Kenny, we don't have Mike Daniels. Like, we're gonna have a problem stopping them. You know, if they run it, I think maybe we should consider going here. I don't know if somebody told him that or not, but that probably would have been enough to push him over the edge. But that's also easy for me to say now in hindsight.
Do you believe in the Seahawks heading towards the playoffs?
You know, it's amazing. I really, really like this football team. And I don't know if it's because of all the guys they lost and how low my expectations were for them coming into the season. You know, Sherman and Bennett and Cam Chancellor and all these guys, Averill, it's a totally different team. But even before last night, and even if they would have lost last night's game, I still feel good about the Seahawks. I still feel good about the direction that they're going. I think they're going in the right direction. They're young. They're hungry. They're not quite as good on defense, but they still have some pieces, and they got some younger pieces like Frank Clark, who they better get a new contract to ASAP. And then offensively, the O-line's more like it was back in 2012 through 2014. They're running the ball effectively again. They're not making Russell have to make a million plays. I feel like they are back to being in the image of the Seahawks that we remember from when they were going to Super Bowls, and frankly, what I think Pete Carroll wants them to be. And so I think that it's not going to happen for them this year. I mean, maybe they'll make the playoffs, and maybe they'll be able to give, like, the Redskins a run for their money in a game or so. But I really think they're going to be a team to keep an eye on in 2019 because they got this thing already kind of rebuilt, going in the right direction again.
Ross Tucker joins us this morning, NFL analyst, to discuss last night's game and more around the NFL. Ultimately, do you think Le'Veon Bell was right or wrong?
Well, I mean, it's his own personal life. He can do whatever he wants. If he's trying to maximize his earnings, he was absolutely wrong. And there's no argument against it. I mean, the real flaw, DA, and hopefully you've been on top of this, is people are just pointing to the $14 million that he didn't make this year, right? The real numbers you need to look at, July of 2017, he was offered a deal that paid him $30 million in the first two, $42 million in the first three, and like $13 million a year, right? July of 18, he was offered a deal that paid him $33 million in the first two, $45 million in the first three, and $70 over five. So let's just look at the 2017 deal, DA. That would have been $30 million the first 2 years. Instead, he got 12. He got 12. So he's $18 million in the hole. You know, everybody's saying, oh, guaranteed money this, guaranteed money that. Well, I can tell you what is definitely guaranteed. It's guaranteed that he makes $18 million less for these 2 years than he would have if he signed that deal. And that deal was for $13 million a year. So even if he gets a deal for, let's just say, $18 million a year, which I don't think he's going to, but let's just say he does, right? He won't make up for the $18 million that he's missed until year 4. He won't break even and be $2 million ahead of the game until year 4 of the next deal if he gets an $18 million deal. So when people look at the numbers, he can't possibly make it up. I mean, maybe he'll get $18, $20 million a year, and maybe he'll play 4 or 5 years of that deal. I highly, highly doubt that. And by the way, even if it works out that way, this was still the poor way to go about it because of the risk that he took on with his, injury history, suspension history, and even just the time value of money. That's $18 million he'd be investing and getting a return on these 2 years that he's not.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting way to put it because I tend to agree. I pointed this out of the show. By sacrificing nearly $15 million this year and hoping to have the largest contract ever for a running back, you'd have to not only top Todd Gurley's $45 million guaranteed last year, but then also make up for the $15 missed this year. So unless he gets $60 million guaranteed, which would be a ridiculous amount for a running back, he really comes out losing by not playing at all this season, right? Isn't that a number that he's got to target? He's got to make more than $60 million guaranteed to make it make sense?
Well, and the whole thing, too, about the guaranteed money, I played 7 years, right? So I get that part of it. But Gurley has $45 million that's just guaranteed for injury only, right? So it's a lot less than that that's actually fully guaranteed. And the flaw is people say, well, the Steelers were only offering a deal with, $14 million or $17 million fully guaranteed. That's because that's how the Steelers structure it. Antonio Brown only had $19 million fully guaranteed. But here's the deal. He was going to get a small salary the first year with like a $13, $14 million signing bonus, which means because of the cap implications, if you cut him after a year, it means the second year was absolutely effectively guaranteed. And even the third year, that would be a bitter pill for them and a lot of dead money for them to cut him. So I don't think maybe he or his agent really understood the implicit guarantee in the Steelers' offer. So whether it was 2017 to $30 million or 2018 to $33 million, those 2 years were guaranteed. And by the way, what's your concern about the guarantee part of it? Your concern is, well, what if then they just cut me? Well, then you're a free agent, which is what you want anyway. So if they cut you after a year, they cut you after 2 years, you still made more money than you were going to anyway under the franchise tag, and you're hitting the market. I mean, it's really illogical, and it's really unfortunate. I think I understand what he was trying to do, but he did not – I don't think he really thought it all out.
Ross Tucker, our guest this morning on the show. It would be cool for the holidays, a ball cannon launching Nerfs all over the yard.
Dude, Ravens just bought 3 of them. College teams are buying them. Everybody's getting them for Christmas and Hanukkah. I'm telling you, if you want a gift that your kid will say, Mommy, Daddy, can I run outside and play with this right now? It's the ball cannon. I'm not going to go on and on. All you need to know is 2 things. One is my kids drop their iPads in a heartbeat when I say, do you want to go outside and catch passes off the ball cannon? And number 2, just if you like awesome videos, go to ballcannon.com. Check out the videos. I've seen people shooting it into baskets, into moving cars, which is probably not safe. I've seen all kinds of videos. If your kids like to do like Odell Beckham Jr. catches, you have to get a ball cannon. Check it out at ballcannon.com. They got some specials going, holiday specials, Cyber Monday, all that stuff. So make sure you go to ballcannon.com like today.
Do it. Ballcannon.com. Holidays around the corner. It is such a cool item. Ross Tucker joining us. Listen to his podcast as well, the Ross Tucker Football Podcast. Ross, I always appreciate the time and the intel, brother. Be good.
Absolutely, dear. I am driving to Blacksburg for Miami, Virginia Tech tomorrow, and I am listening to you on Sirius XM 206. You're doing great.
I appreciate that, man. Thanks so much. Ross Tucker joining us this morning.